All right, let's talk about some of the problems in the Suez. Now, in order to understand the problems in the Suez, you first need to understand the importance and the significance and history behind the Suez Canal. So you can see it right here on the map. Now, the Suez Canal is built in the 1800s across Egypt, connecting the Red Sea to the Mediterranean Sea. Now, this is important because it dramatically shortens the shipping route from Asia to Europe. Okay, you can see this right through here. It's going to be 7,200 miles from Mumbai to London. With the Suez Canal, without it, it's going to be 12,300 miles. So roughly about double the distance. So you can dramatically shorten the distance of shipping. You can also dramatically shorten the time it's going to take. And then that's going to cost you much less money. So the Suez Canal, incredibly, incredibly important. Egypt is the one that's going to be controlling the Suez Canal, so to speak, geographically speaking. And they realize that that can be very, very beneficial to their power. So getting into the Suez Canal and the problems in the Suez Canal. To understand this, we first have to talk about the Aswan High Dam. Now, this is a dam that is going to allow Egypt to control the flow of the Nile. Now, the Nile River starts down in Sudan, flowing up into Egypt before ultimately flowing into the Mediterranean Sea. Now, the problem with this is it gets very, very hot. A lot of the water can evaporate. The Egyptians are accusing the Sudanese of allowing the water to evaporate. Therefore, Egypt's going to be having less water. We've got Nasser coming to power. One of the first things Nasser is going to be doing is implementing these agricultural reforms to try to reform agriculture within Egypt and expand it to really help out the Fellahin and all these other people who really benefit from agriculture in a country. And in order to do that, you need to have the Nile. Now, the Aswan High Dam is going to be a way for them to really benefit from this, control the flow of the Nile River to make sure their irrigation projects are working as they need to do. Additionally, you can also create the electricity from that dam. Now, the USSR and the United States both wanted to support the project. And this is because they could both get control in the region, therefore have a little bit more say and make sure that Egypt does not align with the other side. Nasser, again, as we talked about previously, wants to play them off of each other. So he's like, yeah, Soviets, come help me out. Americans, come help me out. Hey, Soviets, the Americans said this. Americans, Soviets said this. What can I get out of you? So Nasser's trying to play them out of this. At this time as well, the United States is going to condemn, or the United Nations, excuse me, is going to condemn Israeli actions against the Gaza. Okay, so this is going to be important for a number of reasons. Number one, Nasser and the Israelis do not get along at all, as we already know. They both would like to wipe each other off the map for justifiable reasons. So Nasser is going to go to the United States for military help because he realizes that he needs to be able to defend his country, and that if he cannot defend his country, he has no country at all. He also, rightfully so, views Israel as a threat. So the United States is going to agree to support him in this on two different things. Number one is Nasser needs to oppose communism. If he does not oppose communism, the United States will not help. And number two is Nasser needs to help resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The United States recognizes that this is a major conflict. They see that Nasser is in a unique position to possibly resolve this conflict. Therefore, they offer him military help if he helps to resolve the conflict. Then in 1955, the United States withdraws supports. Nasser then is going to, for a number of reasons, because of number one, Nasser recognizes communist China, which is something the United States does not like at all. They do not recognize Mao as the legitimate leader of communist China. And number two is the Czech-Egyptian arms deal previously discussed. The United States does not like this. They view this as a Soviet influence in the Middle East, kind of the Soviets putting their boots on the ground in the Middle East. They do not like that, so the United States is going to withdraw support. Then Nasser is going to nationalize the Suez Canal July 26, 1956, at a speech in Alexandria. And the reason he's doing this is to raise funds for the Aswan Dam. He realizes that he can charge a toll on anyone coming through the Suez Canal. He can use this money then to pay for the Aswan Dam. So really, in terms of trying to get benefit right through here, Nasser found a good way to raise some money. Now, this is going to lead to the Second Arab-Israeli War, also known as the Tripartite Aggression, from October 29, 1956 until November 7, 1956. So just about a week-long little conflict. During this time, Israel is going to invade Egypt in 1956. They're going to be followed by the United Kingdom, and then they're going to be followed by France. The goal of this was twofold. Number one, gain Western control over the Suez Canal. The West is not real happy about the fact that Nasser has nationalized the Suez Canal. They view this as international waterways. They do not feel that this is something that one country should be able to control. So they do not like that. They want to gain Western control of this. Also, they view Nasser as a threat, and they want him removed from power. The United Kingdom, France, and Israel want Nasser gone. So they're going to try to do this through the tripartite aggression, the Second Arab-Israeli War. Nasser they quickly go about and defeat the Egyptians. It does not take long for them to defeat the Egyptians. Nasser, though, is going to respond by blocking the Suez Canal to all shipping. As you can see right through here. Okay, he basically just stops anyone from going through the Suez Canal. He's going to go about and sink some ships in there to make sure that no one can get in or out. Interesting little side note right through here, there was a number of ships that were actually caught in the lake in the middle of the canal that could not get out. They were stuck there for a while, and then they realized they're going to be there for a while. The ship's actually spent about 7 to 8 years inside of the canal. The crew was able to leave, but they were literally trapped in a war zone right through there. So you can see right here, control of the Suez, realize that goes both ways. Nasser is blocking this off to try to gain his own power. You can see in this cartoon, though, that the Arab world is a little bit confused and kind of not very happy about this as well, because the Suez Canal is used to transport oil, and the Arab world is really making their money solely off of oil at this time period. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yes, it allows Nasser to have a lot more power, but it also could potentially hurt the Arab world dramatically when it comes to shipping routes. Now, the United States, USSR, and the United Nations are going to pressure these three countries to stop their invasion, okay? And these countries are going to withdraw. You can see here in this picture these ships that Nasser sunk to block the Suez Canal from anyone going through. This is going to be a major embarrassment for the British and the French. Okay? The British and French get involved in this conflict, and they're basically told to stop it, knock it off, you're being embarrassing. And they're incredibly humiliated by this. And it's going to be a massive, massive win for Nasser because he gets to keep the canal and he gets to keep himself in power, something the British, the French, and the Israelis did not want. Nasser gets everything out of this deal. It's going to be marked as the end of the United Kingdom as a major world power. Up until then, the United Kingdom was considered one of the major powers of the world. This is really the end of that. Okay, their empire is no more, and they're getting told to back off by the United Nations, so therefore they really don't have the power anymore. The countries that have the power, the United States and the USSR. The USSR is going to be emboldened by this act, and they're going to use this to invade Hungary during the uprisings going on in Hungary, previously discussed on this playlist. So questions, comments, put it down below. Otherwise, good luck.